Hello, let's talk about the book of Boba Fett, the newest Star Wars show on Disney Plus. And now that the show is near its end, you can ask the question, is it good? No. Don't get me wrong, the production is outstanding. The special effects, the sets, the music, the sound effects, they are all fantastic. Everything is fantastic. But the writing just fucking sucks balls. The writing is so bad that it contradicts things happening in the show 2 episodes apart. It's quite incredible, really. It's like a fever mix between a very crappy storyboard that has a bunch of random elements in it, with one of these 2 assholes doing the dialogue.
I grew up surrounded by water.
It's mental. Now, I'm making this video before the final episode, so things could change. But for now, I'd like to review the episodes in depth and talk about some of the issues that I personally have with the writing of the series, as a coping mechanism, you could say. Now, let's begin. Episode 1 starts in a very simple way. Directly after the end of Return of the Jedi, inside the stomach of a Sarlacc. Now, the first thing he does is to grab a tube from a helmet of a dead stormtrooper and thrust it into his own helmet. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He's like being quick and resourceful. That's nice. And then the next thing he does is to pop a hole into the guts of the Sarlacc and use his flamethrower to burn him from the inside. Does he want to cook himself or something? How do you possibly expect that burning the bloody thing from the inside when you are inside is going to help in any way? Well, the answer to that question is I don't know. In fact, not even the writers know, because the next scene is him just plopping out of the sand away from the pit. Also, is the whole thing dead now? It didn't make any sound at him burning his insides, and I remember it being quite loud. Spoiler, yeah, of course he's not dead. So, some Javas come to the wreckage and strip him of his armor while he is seemingly unconscious. But suddenly, he grabs the leg of one of them and gets whacked in the head. But no worries, because the Sand people come to the rescue. Well, capturing is some sort of rescue, right? They bring him to their camp, and why is there a tree stump in the middle of the sand dunes? Whatever. So they start bullying him until he says enough. So at night, he undoes the tree vines and runs forward into the desert. It goes as well as you would expect it. Back to the present. We get a quick montage of him dressing in his own armor, and then proceeds to speak to his subjects as the new crime lord of Tatooine. Also, remember this quote, please.
We really need a protocol droid.
Also, Neo Daimyo, add Japanese culture to the random storyboard events, please. And then comes one of the worst characters in the whole series, the mayor's mayordomo. Or his assistant, to be more precise. And the thing about him is that he doesn't really fit. Everything around him is very serious. He's way too careless with the way he speaks and conducts himself. Here is the first time meeting the new self-proclaimed daimyo that rules Jabba's palace, with no security, mind you, no weaponry of any kind, and just goes and says, "Whatever you say, buddy. Now listen, you need to pay us now, okay? No? Alright, then maybe perhaps something bad will happen. Wink wink. What? Like, if Boba wasn't a main character, because all Disney characters must be good people, he'll be dead after the first sentence he says." Quick note, Boba's brain fries midway through the conversation, and Fennec needs to literally say to him what was said again.
Shall I kill him?
I don't know, I find it funny. It's not the only time this happens either, though. Maybe it's the throne. Anyway, 2 Gamorreans are presented and he spares their life on the premise of them being loyal to him. Fair enough. You should give them some weaponry. He doesn't give them anything. So, they go into the streets of Mos Espa and they go inside a famous canteen called Sanctuary. Also, they take off their helmets? Why in God's name would you ever do? Is that Max Rebo? He was in Jabba's barge when it exploded. What the fuck? I mean, so was Bib Fortuna though. Anyways, two Twi'leks take their helmets to be cleaned, and their owner, Garza Whip, comes out and they have a talk. The Twi'leks give them their helmets back, but now they're filled with coins. That, a bag will be better, no? Yes? A container of some sorts? Anything, please. Why would you be... Alright, fine. Obviously, they go into the town and they get ambushed, because, of course, by what we later know is a legendary assassin order. And like you would have guessed from legendary assassins, they go into combat with electric long maces and shields. I just feel like technology is going backwards. I mean, I suppose that makes sense considering that in the timeline of the sequels, those dumb fucks would prefer medieval weaponry to own blasters, so kinda fits. Alright, let's get on with it. The battle is horrible in every single possible way. They are surrounded by shields, so Fennec tries to style kick a shield away, and Boba literally fires a rocket at close range, making it explode on his face. Obviously, the myth, the legend that is Boba Fett would instantly forget that he has a jetpack, of course. Also, that he has a flamethrower that can definitely burn through the gaps. I don't know, maybe shoot at their feet? Anything, please. No, don't kick them. No, they just stand there, getting poked by those electric maces. They look like they do nothing. What the fuck? But luckily for them, the Gamorreans come to the rescue. And if you ask, wait, where the fuck were they? The answer is simple. They got out of the cantina with them. But quickly remember that they shouldn't be outside without a leash, and they are banished into the Shadow Realm until their time is needed. But luckily for them, their time is now. So they attack the assassins with metal daggers, and the assassins turn off their shields, and so they break the line, and they get beaten up quite hard. So they decide to retreat. But you know, Boba manages to blow up one of them back into the Sengoku period. Like literally, there's nothing left. Fennec starts to pursue them, but they throw knives at her because blasters are a myth. And of course, she catches them and brings Boba back to the palace so we can have the next part of the flashback. Brilliant! The flashback starts with the two prisoners being brought into the middle of the desert so they can dig for black melons, of course. But the Rodian awakes some kind of sand lizard looking centaur thing that clearly doesn't, well, more like couldn't possibly live in the middle of the fucking dunes, but alright, okay, maybe it does photosynthesis. What the fuck do I know? Boba strangles it with his chains, and they bring back the head into the camp so that they can change class from a slave captive into a Tusken recruit. Not bad. So that's episode 1. Episode 2 is not much different, sadly. The episode starts with them interrogating the assassin that they captured. That's when we know that they are a legendary assassin guild. And because he wouldn't talk, they throw him into the Rancor pit, where he whines and screams that the mayor is the one who sent them. Alright, fair enough. So, they go visit the mayor, quite literally. They just go up there and say, "Hello, I'm Boba Fett." And then a funny scene happens.
Do you have an appointment? Well, I don't see your name in the schedule, so you'll have to...
So anyway, they go up to the mayor, and the mayor starts dumping information, so Boba's brain starts to malfunction yet again.
I know that you sit on the throne of your former employer.
If Fortuna was not my employer.
The mayor gives them the advice to go to the sanctuary canteen, and well, they decide to go. Also, there seems to be a forced removal of helmet claws upon entry the establishment. I mean, why would they do that? Every time! She says that the twins are here, and the music stops.
Gives me connections.
So they go outside and meet the Hutt twins, who explain to him that this territory that once belonged to Jabba is now theirs. They laugh, and a big Wookiee with a big ass gun appears. Fun fact, this gun goes away, never to be seen again. So, they have a mild confrontation, but the Hutts go away. Not after they give them a warning of some sorts. So, to celebrate it, he takes off his helmet again. Flashback time! Here we see Boba and the Tusken training in the way of the stick. Yes, while the rest of the Tusken are racking the sand to find some sand rat things, I don't know. But suddenly, a train appears! And it starts shooting at them from a distance while they can't do jack shit about it. So yeah, I'll wait until the end to speak about the train thing, because there are some things that need to be asked first. So I'll wait, I can't wait. They have a funeral for the Tusken that the train killed. Meanwhile, some random bikers just happen to be passing by. So Boba has the idea to go collect their speeders. So he asks for a rifle and a stick. He goes to the bikers bar and forgets that he can change weapons, so he shoots the rifle and then he uses it as a stick, breaking it in the process. So now he only has a stick. Sure, so he demolishes them, steals their speeders, and returns to the Tusken camp. He trains the Tusken how to use them, and speeder jumping? Okay. Well, there's a montage, and when the montage is done, we need to assume that they're ready, so the train heist part begins.
Go, go, go.
Don't put your banthas there, you ameboids! So the plan is like hope and pray. It's basically a Western train heist thing, but you know, in a complete environment that doesn't work for it in any way whatsoever. But I mean, it looks cool, right? So, while the speeders are reaching the train, you have some snipers killing the people inside the train. And so they start climbing the train and start a fight on top of the train. But they reach a mild stalemate until the female training Tusken crashes on the train, goes fucking commando, and kills everything so that Boba can reach the spider robot pilot thing. But he just says, see ya, and leaves the train. But don't worry, because Boba has the stick. Therefore, he can stop it. So it does, and it crashes into the dunes. The Tusken come to the wreckage, and how the fuck did they get there?
The Flash.
So the train is revealed to be smuggling all types of things, including spices. So Boba tells the pikes that are running the train that they can now pass through the Dune Sea under the protection of the Tusken, if they pay a toll to them, of course. He gives them all black melons and tells them to fuck off, basically. So back to the camp. The boss tells Boba about the Tusken tribes and how about machines are destroying the land and the natives are being oppressed and all that, and yeah. So he gives a tiny gecko guide thing that, upon throwing some dust into his face, it fucking launches on top of him and climbs inside his nose. It will guide you from inside your head, so he says. Yeah, so Boba starts tripping hard and I'm not gonna try to describe what happens, but the important part is that he returns with a tree branch that will now be turned into his own stick. That is pretty much made out of metal anyway. And the episode ends with them performing this weird synchronized dance. So, I know there's a lot of questions, so let's start with the most important one. What the fuck? Why would a crime syndicate ever use a train in Star Wars? What? It's the same thing about the Mandalorian truck thing. From point A to point B, there's no real reason to not use a spaceship. Much less when you are a crime syndicate organization. Even more if the natives on the ground are hostile. Even more if the cargo you are transporting is big enough that you need a train to move through the fucking sand dunes. But no, we want a Western train heist. Now, I know they're not going to do it, but what is stopping the Pikes after the episode from going, oh fuck, the train thing fucking sucks. Let's just move cargo with a spaceship from now on. So much for that tribute thing. The whole thing is so bad, and I'm impressed that Boba Fett doesn't even think that they would do such a thing. But then you remember that Boba Fett, it's not precisely peak human intelligence as far as this series goes, so yeah. Episode 3. Let's start the episode by some good old what the fuck. Why is this droid doesn't want to say Jabba's name when he clearly said in the first episode?
These two Gamorreans were once bodyguards to Jabba the Hutt, Jabba the Hutt, Jabba the Hutt, Jabba the Hutt. The name that should not be spoken.
Okay, it's okay. Boba tells him it's fine, and so he does.
You can say Jabba.
Jabba the Hutt.
So here he comes, this water working dude, that tells him that no one really respects him, and he should help him, because some dudes are stealing his water. Boba then has another extremely good inside commentary yet again,
I grew up surrounded by water.
consolidating my theory that it is in fact the throne that's rotting his brain.
I grew up surrounded by water.
Yes, you did. Good for you. Dialogue is hard, I know. So the dude starts describing the gang as some half machine, half maniacs that run around in bikes stealing everything they can, and so Boba agrees on the side quest, and there he goes into the city at night, where he quickly meets the gang of indeed half machine, half Power Rangers, and they have a semi-confrontation until he asks them if they want a job. And I'm just very happy that it appears that the technology is finally going back up from Western. It's not quite on the level yet, but you know, it's getting there. I'm sure we'll see some blasters now. Also, he takes off his helmet again because he offers them jobs, and the waterman comes from, I don't know, the water store, and he accuses Boba about going to let them off, even when they have steal from him. To which Boba says, what do they owe you? 1,300 credits. And Boba angrily pays him 500 or he will never be able to do business back again. But he never said the quantity of the water that had been stolen, right? So you don't know the value of those 1,300 credits. You don't know if they are overpriced. They may have stolen 100,000 gallons, and that's pretty much selling water for free. You know what? Fine. I'm sure he knows what he's doing. Alright, so Boba now has biker Power Rangers into his service. And, oh fuck, he's going back into the tank. No, please, flashback time! So we're back with the Tuscans, and he's granted a bantha that he uses to cross the dunes. Remember that a train was choosing to pass through those instead of using a ship, by the way. So he goes to collect payment from the Pikes about the train thing. But the Pike dude says that they're not going to pay them, because the bikers are the ones that offer protection now. So he takes the bantha back to the camp And oh my god, the Tuskens are dead. And then it's revealed that Anakin's forced ghost went into a spiritual retreat. And nah, it was the bikers. He does a funeral for the dead, and suddenly the Wookiee back in the present comes into his chambers and forces him out of the Bacta tank.
And so begins the worst fight of the series.
First of all, why didn't he shoot him? The answer is, he couldn't. Why? Because he doesn't have a gun in the first place. Why? How did he get past the fucking guards? How did he even reach Boba's chambers? Fuck, might as well just go all in on this fight, right? So, he first tries to grab his leg, for some fucked up reason, and then gets thrown off into the weapon shelf, where he grabs his wrist rocket thingy, but gets punched in the fucking face by the Wookiee with some electric fucking brass knuckles, but he's not hurt in any way. However, maybe his brain suffers some more damage because he chooses to grab the Tusken big stick. Look, he has it on his hand here, and here it just disappeared into the Shadow Realm. So then he starts to attack the Wookiee with the stick and gets demolished, obviously. Then the Wookiee grabs him and starts to crush him. But fear not, because the power youths are here. And not one of them, not a single one of them has a blaster. I guess technology is not there yet. Or perhaps they banned blasters in the Geneva Conventions. Who the fuck knows at this point? So the youths start beating the fuck out of the Wookiee until they don't, and the Wookiee fights back and also pummels Boba yet again. Not a single scratch, by the way. The Gamorreans appear and the Wookiee launches himself at them and fight their way into the throne room. Also, yes, you guessed it, they don't have a blaster either. But at this point, they are the only ones consistent with it, so I'll give them that. They surround him and Fennec comes, finally, and opens the Rancor shaft. But the Wookiee holds on, and she grabs her sniper rifle, finally, to shoot him off, and she uses a fucking knife. Ah! Why does everyone refuse to use a fucking gun? So anyway, let's move on from that experience and onto this feast, maybe. They start speaking about how he should respond, but it doesn't matter, because the twins show up on their front door with gifts, and the conversation goes as follows. Yo, we are sorry we sent the Wookiee to kill you. You can kill him if you want. I don't know. Here's a Rancor. Alright, getting off this planet. Turns out it wasn't ours to claim. See ya. Whatever. So they have a Rancor now, and apparently they are peaceful unless threatened creatures now. Yeah, you can say that about that dancer and that Gamorrean that meet the peaceful unless threatened Rancor. Yeah, fuck you. Also, Danny Trejo is in Star Wars. Yay! So, Boba wants to ride a Rancor for some fucked up reason, but you know, it will look cool, so let's give them that. Anyways, the droid comes and says that the mayor is not available, so Boba just says, nah, fuck it, and he, Fennec, and the Ranger gang go into the mayor's front door. Also, holy shit, the colors. Anyways, they go up to the receptionist dude. Again, the mayor's mayordomo goes inside to look for the mayor and immediately runs away. And they didn't see this coming, because they have the same level of intelligence as a Bantha.
Did he just lock the door?
Yes, Boba. he did lock up the door. Why are you even typing it, you maniac? So the assistant runs away in a land speeder, and the colorful gang run after him. Also, he never even attempts to shoot him whatsoever, so, yeah, I mean, what do you expect him to do? And so, the best car chase in the universe happens, where everyone is following protocols at going way below speed limit in the middle of a town. So it takes them fucking ages to get to him. Like, seriously, this is so slow and so boring. The power gang then use their superpower upgrades to stop the land speeder and make it crash. At the same time, Boba just fucking appears with his jetpack, understandable considering the high speed chase we just witnessed, and the assistant tells them that the mayor is meeting with the Pike Syndicate. Look at them, they are so cool! I know that this episode is pretty horrible, traumatically horrible, but the memes are quite good. Episode 4 starts with a good old flashback. So Boba has arrived at Jabba's palace after the death of the Tusken from the previous episode, and he aims a gun! Woohoo! First time! Boba, I'm so proud. He realizes that there are too many guards, and he bails with his banta into the dunes. When suddenly, at night, he sees a big bright star. It isn't a star, it's a flare. Remember the Mandalorian? That's right. So, that made me jump from my seat, not because of the implications of the Mandalorian, but because this means that we are now on the Mandalorian timeline. And that means that he was with the Sand People for 5 years. Holy fucking shit. Did he change clothes or something? Did he bathe? Alright, moving on. He goes there and finds Fennec dying on the sand. He picks her side quest and brings her into a cyberpunk bar mechanical thingy. Which... it looks okay, I get it, but not on Tatooine. Like, I'm so done with this sand planet. Why must every single fucking thing happen here? Trains, raids, spices, gangs, and now fucking cyberpunk upgrade stations. And the best of all of that is that all of them are pretty much next to each other, because he can get to them while riding a bantha, which is in the same speed level as walking. So, yeah, there are more things in the galaxy than this sand planet. How can the world building in Star Wars be so fucking bad? Anyways, he needs to save her by making her stomach mechanical. Maybe, I don't know, I blacked out. The dude takes his clank hand and puts on his hand tool that has everything he needs. Excellent! On to the operations. She wakes up, but it's long after the cyberpunk fever dream, of course. He then reveals that he is in fact Boba Fett, and that he was rescued by the Sand People, revealing to us that apart from dementia, he also suffers from Stockholm Syndrome. Because you cannot call this rescue, can't you? Maybe at best you can say that they kept you alive, and then you join them afterwards, I don't know. They move right into the palace, and Fennec pops out this robot thingy from her rifle. Yay, technology! That maps out the whole thing. Also, this line happens right after.
I'm gonna miss you too, Oakville. Now go. Find other banthas. Make baby banthas.
And I'm going to just try and remove it from my memory and say that Boba Fett never said that. Anyways, they find a passageway and manage to infiltrate inside the castle kitchen, where some robots are preparing meals. But they get found out by the chef, which then makes the biggest reveal of the whole show. That General Grievous wasn't really dead, but he was working in Jabba's kitchen palace until Fennec slits his throat. I'm pretty sure One of those is close enough to fucking slash her arm, but whatever. It's a Star Wars show. After this, a little rabbit robot appears and Boba starts chasing after it, like some fucking Looney Tunes episode. So he catches it, and he turns off himself by pushing a button. And that's really funny. They get to the ship, and they get found out pretty quickly, but Boba just powers up the ship, and after some awkward, horrible fight scenes, Fennec shoots some counterweight thingy and they fuck off. They have a quick conversation, and Fennec agrees to stick with him. So Boba just goes fucking genocide the bikers, and well, he's successful, and then he proceeds to find his armor. So obviously he goes to find the Jawas and is back into the Sarlacc pit. So he starts looking inside the pit, totally forgetting the fact that he crawled back up the fucking pit with the armor on. So even if he doesn't remember the Jawas taking it, he should maybe look for it in the sand, maybe? Also, 5 years with the Tusken, and never once he thought of coming back here to check for his armor. Not once. Even when the Tuskens died and he was alone with his banda. Never. Or right then. So he puts the ship directly on top of the Sarlacc pit, blocking the sun completely.
Damn it. I can't see a thing.
Yeah, you idiot. And the Sarlacc is alive and well after half a stomach cooked to medium rare, and grabs onto the ship, pulling it down to it. So the Sarlacc has enough strength to put the whole ship down? Okay. It looks cool, I guess. In the middle of this, Fennec tries to reach out for a button. She can't, so she undoes her seatbelt and presses the button, releasing the seismic charge from the back of the ship, killing them all instantly. The rest of the series is then revealed to be a nose gecko-induced fever dream. Nah, I'm kidding. The seismic charge just pops out of the back, rolls off the ship into the sand, rolls off into the pit, and lands in the beak of the Sarlacc. Horizontally, of course. If it didn't, well, you know. So it explodes and the Sarlacc dies. Anyways, Boba goes inside the Sarlacc and doesn't find his armor. So he goes back up and has another wonderful dialogue totally characteristic of Boba Fett.
How many times have you been hired to do a job that was avoidable? If they only took the time to think. How much money could have been made? How many lives could have been saved? I'm tired of our kind dying because of the idiocy of others.
Then the flashback any % speedruns back into the present, where we quickly go into the Sanctuary canteen again, where the good old Wookiee Kirsten, I think, Kirsten?
K.R.R. Sanin.
He starts beef with some random Trandoshans that were in the canteen playing. Why, you ask? Well, because the Trandoshans have history of hostilities with the Wookiees. Remember the Wookiee belt from episode 1? Now, this is not explaining the show in any way. Madame Garsha shows up trying to calm the Wookiee by praising him, but he just rips off the arm of one Trandoshan and leaves the canteen. Luckily, Boba Fett was there, so he can recruit him. Back to the palace. We see a reunion of all underworld powerful figures of Tatooine, I think, maybe. And Fennec starts a speech about how Big Fortuna was bad and had no right to the throne, but Boba is good and has no right to the throne as well, but we don't mention that. I'm just kidding, he has every right, he killed him. Basically, the idea is that all of them pledge allegiance to him or the Pikes will take everything from Tatooine. So one of them says, "What prevents us from killing you?" And then the peaceful creature, unless threatened Rancor, slams his hands into the floor beneath them, scaring them. They sit back down after all that, and this dude asks what he's proposing. How do I know he says that? Well, because the droid said so. That's right, remember episode 1?
We really need a protocol droid.
Yeah, so much for a protocol droid, right? When you have 8D8, the smelter droid, that can translate just as good as any protocol droid can. Maybe technology has advanced so much from episode 1 that he can now begin translating by being connected to the Wi-Fi signal. Who knows? Boba tells them that he will fight alone, but only if they remain neutral if the Pikes ask them to betray him. They agree, obviously, so says the smelter droid, and they fuck off back into Tatooine. Fennec and Boba share a final scene where she asks, how much money do they have? Which Boba says that they have plenty, but not enough muscle. But she remembers that this man has dementia.
Credits can buy muscle.
Money can be exchanged for goods and services.
And with that, the episode ends. And funny enough, it'll be a long time before you see the main character again, because we are now into the first and biggest patch of the Mandalorian expansion pack. Let's see the changes. First of all, Boba Fett is now replaced by a superior main character called the Mandalorian, or Din Djarin. Superior in equipment, not intelligence. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves there. The Darksaber metagame is now balanced by having a 32% chance of self-harm while using it without training experience. A Halo Ring event can now be downloaded free for all, but only for half an episode. Bounty hunting is back on the menu, after 19 episodes of 2 shows about bounty hunters not having any. Tracking beacons are back! Get your bounties in order, because now there's a magical GPS on the loot table again. The Mandalorians of the cult of the Children of the Watch are reduced to 3 members, momentarily, for faction balance. This doesn't include Bo-Katan's faction or any other factions outside of the main one, because who cares? Baby Yoda is momentarily unavailable. He'll be back shortly, don't worry. Beskar is removed from the weapon crafting system. It can only be used now to forge armor exclusively. Previous Beskar forged weapons, however, will be staying on the show. Whistling Birds, the Darksaber, and the Armorer smithing tools will be staying as they are quite rare and unique weapons. The Beskar Spear, however, will be going away and can be exchanged for Beskar plates or armor. The Armorer can now be used as a melee combat trainer. We have been slowly changing from a ranged metagame from a close combat focused metagame, so we hope this change helps in getting the experience with new weapons as quickly as possible. Jetpacks are now banned from PvP battles between members of the same faction. As some people have complained about the betrayal factor of the Children of the Watch faction by removing its own helmet, we have added the Living Waters of Mandalore, where one now can be redeemed for such treachery and be reinstated as an active member once again. We've now added 2 flights out of the Halo event ring, as people have complained that they had to give up their guns for boarding it. So we've added a second one a day after the first one in case you want to carry your weapons. If, however, you are impatient to get off the ring for some reason, you still need to give up your weapons on the first flight. Religions and creeds are no exception. Wrist weaponry doesn't count due to a bug. Possible hotfix coming soon. The Mandalorian main character can now get back to Tatooine for his new spaceship as part of the setup for the main story. A brand old N1 starfighter, perfect for starfighter battles, and that's pretty much it. The ship needs to be repaired, however, so expect some grind hours behind the tools. If you wish to upgrade to a different ship, please pre-order Mandalorian Season 3 or wait to the full release. We've added a new test course for the new ship that some fans will enjoy. If you are about to leave Tatooine space, however, you will be stopped by some New Republic X-Wing patrols. They are added just for the event, so they will disappear when full release happens, as this is not part of the New Republic control zone. We also added a new questline in preparation for the upcoming new season, so stay tuned for more updates. Pretty cool, right? So, for the next update, we wanted to update our main storyline event in the beta version, as the alpha version felt short in some ways. Also, we've added a free-for-all nostalgia-free event that we hope you guys enjoy. Here are our changes. You can now visit the upcoming Jedi Temple as the Mandalorian. However, nothing will be built as of yet. As part of the nostalgia free event, we have R2-D2, who can now act as a guide to the temple, but will remain inactive for the rest of the event as his battery has not been changed for many years. You can now choose to play as Grogu for a segment of the event. Luke Skywalker is now live and free to watch when you choose to play as Grogu. We are changing him a little bit, however, to fit more our nostalgia event, so he now fully embraces the idea of emotional seclusion from the old Jedi Creed, even though he was never part of it and he very much has strong emotional ties with some people outside. We understand this change can be confusing for a lot of people, but understand, no one remains the same in 5 years. Ahsoka is now live and free as part of the nostalgia free event when you continue the story with the Mandalorian. However, if you choose to leave, you must present the foundling with a Beskar tribute. Empire Strikes Back training scene is back with our new nostalgia event. You can now put yourself in the eyes of Grogu as he is carried around by Luke, mirroring the training in episode 5, but failing to achieve almost everything. You can now use a training remote as Grogu for a brief period of time as part of the nostalgia pack. The Mandalorian storyline will bring you back to Tatooine as part of the nostalgia free event. You will now get to present your respects to Boba Fett, but he will not come back as protagonist until the end of the event. As part of the nostalgia event, you can now visit the Marshal and ask him for his town's help during this event. Mos Pelgo is now changed to Freetown. As part of the nostalgia event, we now have Cad Bane. He is back and ready to be in action. His speeder, however, couldn't make it into such event, so now he just walks. But he looks cool, right? One of the main drawbacks from having these many nostalgia events is that the new characters have to go. Therefore, the Sanctuary Canteen has been sacrificed to the Pike Syndicate, along with Madame Garcia and Max Rebo. Max, however, can come back in the future. As Grogu, you can now choose between a lightsaber and the Jedi Creed, or being a foundling and going back with the Mandalorian. If you choose the latter, however, remember that he was expelled from the Order and you will no longer be a foundling. Also, you need to acquire a helmet. And that's about it. Thank you for reading the patch notes. Next up will be a video about the final episode and see how Mando's storyline progresses. Oh yeah, this is a Boba Fett show. Pity. Alright, see ya!